There you go. Sorry, that's my job.
Better?
Yeah.
Better, okay. Welcome to our meeting. We will have the roll call, please.
Commissioner Grissom,
Here.
Commissioner Hines,
Here.
Commissioner Lee,
Here.
Mayor Pearson,
Here.
Commissioner Vetter,
Here.
Thomas Lange,
Here.
Scott Black,
Not here.
Edward McMacken, John Swallow.
At this time, we have a consent agenda approval of the minutes from the last joint meeting.
Approval of the minutes from the March 7, 2023 joint meeting of the Washington Township Trustees and the Piqua City Commission.
Is there a motion
I'll
to?
make a motion to approve the minutes.
And I would second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes from March 7th have been approved. Moving on to new business, we have resolution number R-74-23.
A resolution declaring the intention to renew a levy of a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation and requesting the auditor of Miami County, Ohio certification pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 5705.03.
This legislation asks the auditor to determine the amount that will be produced by the millage that's being asked for by the cemetery. This is a renewal levy. It is not adding any tax to either Washington Township or the city of Piqua, and all the money goes to the care of the cemetery, Forest Hill Cemetery.
Okay.
And again, one other thing is everyone will have to come back again when we get the amount from the cemetery board and vote to have it approved on the ballot. And we need to do that before August 8th.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from commission or from our trustees? I would like to add that this resolution is declared an emergency for immediate preservation of public peace, health, or safety in the city of Piqua and in Washington Township, as the Forest Hill Cemetery is dependent upon the tax levy and needs the Miami County Auditor certification in order to meet the filing deadline of August the 8th. Okay.
So do we need a motion to waive the?
We
what's
would
a
just need
resolution? Yeah.
a motion
Motion
to
to approve it, okay,
approve.
it's a
Are there
resolution.
any comments from citizens, though?
I make a motion then that we approve resolution number R-74-23.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. At this time, I would need a motion to adjourn from the joint meeting with Washington trustees.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have been adjourned. Thank you for coming. We will continue now with the regular Piqua City Commission meeting. Could we have a roll call?
Commissioner Grissom,
Sorry, was it here? Okay. That's why I thought we just did it, so.
for the
Just wanna
fourth
make sure.
time, you are here.
Thanks. Here.
Commissioner Hines,
Here.
Commissioner Lee,
Here.
Mayor Pearson,
Here.
Commissioner Vetter.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, we have two presentations. The first is going to be a presentation by Don Smith with a new tour idea. Come on up, Don.
Good
Welcome.
afternoon. Thank you. I'm Don Smith, 333 West Green Street in Piqua. My wife and I spent a little bit of time in Europe. And in the process of doing that, we traveled the river. And when we traveled the river, every stop, there was a tour of the community that we stopped in. And every time I came back to the ship or the boat, my wife said, or I said, why doesn't Piqua do that? And after 4 or 5 times having heard that, she finally said, well, then just do it. So that's what's happening. We are developing an immersive tour of Piqua. And that tour is going to include a wide range of items. We're going to start at the Comfort Inn. The first tour is on July the 27th, and that's an important date for Piqua people because that's the first day that Piqua people can take this tour. It's on the 27th of July, and we will meet at the Comfort Inn for coffee and instruction. And at the conclusion of that short bit of time, we will board a bus, which I'm providing as part of this organization, and that bus will take us from the Comfort Inn out to the Johnston Farm, and there are several key spots that we'll be talking about in the bus on the way out there, so that we're getting that little bit of history, the canal boats and the house with the canal captain and the front door, the canal boat door that happens to be on one of the homes on Riverside. So we're going to go through that process. We'll get out to the Johnston Farm, and at the Johnston Farm, the bus will take them directly to the house. And there will be a docent there who will give them a tour of this beautifully new remodel of the Johnston Farm. Once they have time to walk through the farmhouse and the grounds at the farm end, then they will get back on the bus and go over to the museum, and they'll have time at the museum. And once they're at the museum, they'll also have the opportunity to ride the canal boat. So the first part of our immersive tour is the use of the Johnston Farm site because it's a key part of Piqua. And so they will ride the canal boat. That's about 2.5 hours worth of time total. And then we will get back on the bus and drive into Piqua. And actually, we're going to go down Forest and talk about the Hance Pavilion and the hopeful renovation thereof, and also its significant history. And then we're going to go up Park Avenue Hill. We'll spend a second of time, while we're in the bus, a second of time talking about the mansion on the hill, and come on out to the Hartzell Propeller Plant, where we will talk a little bit about Hartzell Propeller, the history of the Hartzell Propeller Company, and some really unique things that happened there that I think most even Piqua people don't know. And so we'll do that and then go over to the Pitzenbarger Park, where we'll talk about William Pitzenbarger, the movie, of course, and his courageous battle that he waged with the enemy. Once we complete that, we'll get back on the bus, and we're going to go down to Main Street. And as we do that, we'll be talking about the Miller Meteor construction of the hearse that carried Kennedy from Parkland to the Air Force One. And we actually found out today that the casket that he was in came from Springfield. So it's an Ohio thing. And from that, then we will also be talking about the atomic energy plant and what it meant to Piqua at the time that we had it. And we'll be showing pictures. I'll have a flip book that shows pictures of these particular things at the time they were in their heyday. So I think that'll be an interesting piece. Then we're going to visit one of our newest businesses, the Crooked Handle, and they're going to have lunch at the Crooked Handle. They'll get a tasting as well as a non-alcoholic beverage and lunch, about an hour there. And then we're going to walk from there past Lock 9. We're going to see the production of what's going on there, the excitement of that. We're going to talk about the electric plant, the Edison electric plant on the corner. Talk about the new townhouses that are going to be going in. And then walk over to Winans, where we won't stop, but we'll talk about Winans. We're going to put Winans on the boat in just a moment, but we're going to walk to Winans, cross over to the Gentili statue, and we're going to gather at the Gentili statue and talk about Don Gentili. Once we get that completed, because the day that we're going to do this is a farmer's market day, we're going to stay at the Gentilly statue and talk about the Mills Brothers and their grandfather's barbershop and their international fame and coming from Piqua, Ohio. So that's our excitement. And then we'll be talking about the McCullough statue that's there and the importance of that and the importance of Piqua, Ohio when it comes to desegregation. So I think those are really cool features to talk about. Then we will move to we will go from Gentilly statue at this point into the library, and there will be a docent-led tour of the library, about a half hour's worth. They'll come out of the library, and then we will meet on the street, on Main Street, and they will at this point break up into 5 groups, 5 different places they can choose to go. They will have pre-signed up for which one they want to do. One of them is going back to Winans to take a tour of the chocolate factory. One is to go down to our newest flower shop at the Lemon Meringue and have a presentation there. Or they can go on down Main Street and they can stop at the Arts Council where they'll be doing an art project. They can go to the Apple Tree Gallery where they'll be getting an interest in a presentation on antique Christmas. Or they can go to Dobo's and decorate and eat cookies. So they'll have a choice of those places. They have about 45 minutes for those, and then we meet at the Schmidlap Library where we'll have them sit down, use the restroom, and eat a cookie. And then we get on the bus again, and this time we go through the Piqua-Caldwell Historic District. And we're going to drive through the district, talking about some of the homes there, the fact that it's a nationally recognized district. And thanks to Chris and his crew, we're going to have signage up for Piqua-Caldwell Historic District, and we're really excited about that. Then we get to the Morrow House, which happens to be on the corner at Caldwell Street, and that house, they opened the front door. So people will be able to get off the bus and walk through the house. If you've not seen the house inside, it's almost a museum. It is absolutely perfectly appointed, the right draping, the right furniture, everything about it. So it'll be a great tour to walk through that house. Then we'll go down, of course, we'll talk about the Prairie House and all the other houses along, ending up at St. Paul's Church, where we're going to have a little short presentation on the history of the church, because it's like 200 years old. And at the same time, we're going to have dinner there. And dinner will be a catered meal from Don Walters at Edison. He's going to do the catering, nice dinner. And and St. Paul's, I think, is going to also do a little bit of entertainment while they're having dinner. So that's the kind of the conclusion. This first tour is a trial run. And since it is a trial run, we're going to only charge $50 for the tour. That covers the 2 meals, doesn't cover all the expenses, but we have that taken care of. So for the community, anyone who's interested, and of course the county, anyone who's interested can take this tour by buying a ticket. The tickets are available at Main Street Piqua. Lorna has them available there, and I have them. So if somebody would like to call me, I can make arrangements to get a ticket. I think it's important to talk about how this really came to be. And it came to be because I talked to a group of people, each one of which was very encouraging and moved me in the right direction, so that we landed at Lorna at Main Street Piqua. And so this group, this operation is a part of the Friends of Main Street, and that's where all the money goes in and comes out from. Lorna has been very helpful on that. We have had grants given to us. The Miami County Visitors and Convention Bureau gave us a really nice grant to start with, and they have also provided information to tour hosts. They went to convention in Detroit and Cincinnati and distributed our information and a special gift for each of those people. And along with that, Awesome Piqua has given us money, and so has Main Street and the Miami County Foundation. So those are our sources of revenue, which allow us to rent the bus for this early tour. The real tours start in 2024, and that's when we're encouraging people from outside the area to take a day trip and come to Piqua and spend time and go through this tour. Now, my goal is for them to come for 2 days, because they'll come in the evening before, and our city administration has been so kind as to allow us the use of the ballroom if we can get a group. And what we will do is have a catered meal there, an additional part, keeping them overnight. And then the next day, we're going to tire them out by 7 o'clock, so maybe they'll stay even another night before they go on the road to the next place. So our goal is to get people into the community, to realize that we are something that most people haven't heard of. That's why it says, Piqua, let us surprise you. And this a small town you never heard of, and it has lots of information about us. So with all of that happening, we are starting with tonight's presentation. So after this, tickets are available, and we have them limited. If we happen to get a much larger group of people than what our limit will permit us to do, then we probably will have a second bus and do another tour. But we're going to start with the first one on July the 27th. And that's really a fact-finding tour to see if we've got the timing down right, and everybody can tell me, those people who are locals can tell me what I've got wrong in the information. So, because I didn't live through all of it, you know, just a good portion of it. So along with that, that's what we're doing. And I thought it was important for you as commissioners to be aware that this is something that is going to be, I hope, something that will spotlight Piqua and bring people to our community. With that being said, I have brochures, and I'm going to give each of you one so that you can see. If I'm allowed to approach, I will give you a brochure so that you can see. These brochures are not written for individuals. I want you to know that up front. They're written for tour hosts. So when you look at it, you should look at it as a tour host thinking about coming to Piqua. That was our hope, and that's what we're going to do. Do any of you have any questions of me?
Sure. How long will the total tour take?
Well, it's a guess at this moment, but we anticipate a meeting beginning at 9 a.m. at the Comfort Inn, and we'll be there, I'm hoping, no more than 30 minutes, and that's to kind of acclimate everybody and get them to sign up for those afternoon things. Sure. And then once we get on the bus and get through the whole process, it's going to be between 7 and 7:30 in the evening.
I like it.
And 2 meals. Now, if tour hosts say to me, well, you know, we're going to come, but we can't spend that much time, we have modules. So they can pick a module for 3 hours, they can pick a module for 6 hours, they can pick however long they want to be here, and then together we will come up with what they will get to see in our community for the time that they have. My goal is for that overnight with, and I do know that the Comfort Inn has, passing through here, about 50 buses a year. So I'm going to try to tap into a few of those buses and make them stay an extra day. So that's kind of what we're doing. Any other questions?
My other question is, did you consider going to the Randolph McCullum Museum as part of the tour?
Well, I did think about that, and I have, and I was out at Rossville too, because I was really hoping to take the bus out to Rossville. But when I went out there, it's not ready for a tour. And so, and I have yet to talk to, I was going to talk to Larry Hamilton about something else.
That'd be a good part of the tour. It's historic.
Yeah,
The whole narrative.
and I would agree, and Larry's here tonight, and I would say that possibly.
I was going to call you, Larry.
There you go, that's good.
I'm sure you were.
Yeah, I would say that possibly one of those things in the afternoon, since you have the different kind of
one of the
break-off
5
things
things,
that
they could
people
walk down the-
could choose to come down there, but yeah.
My biggest problem with that, and I don't have too many problems, my biggest problem is the age of the people that I'm probably
true.
going to have,
Yeah.
and the distance they have to walk.
Yep.
So I've been trying to take that into consideration, but again, if we have enough people who would like to do that, we could probably take the bus, a group on the bus, maybe
Right.
3, 4, 5, 6 people, however many would choose to do that. So it is a possibility for sure.
And
I
I
like
will
the
say,
idea.
having served on the Travel and Tourism Committee through Main Street for many years, I know talking about getting people out to Johnston Farm, a lot of people just getting them from the interstate there. And just, I mean, I cannot believe what you have packed into this day. I mean, you really have
That's a
got,
lot.
it's a lot.
I wrote it down as you were saying.
Yeah.
I just love the idea.
I do too.
Talk to my wife
Yeah.
and see if she'll go with me.
Well, and I was going to say, and it really helps this be a destination for people,
Yeah.
which is exactly what we're looking for.
And that's why the word immersive is on there.
Yeah,
Because
it's
there is
immersive.
quite a bit involved in it, and I've been told, I think the biggest negativity that I've gotten is that it's too much for most people. But I think we'll try it,
Try.
see what happens, and again, if a tour host wants less hours, we can do that. So our goal is to make it something that will bring people into the community. I was out to the Right Pat Credit Union, and all those beautiful pictures back there that Mike Ullery did are of the Johnson Farm and other things. And I brought that up, and I said to the young lady who was helping me, I said, "Oh, you've got good pictures of the Johnson Farm. I was just out there. It's absolutely amazing." She says, "What is it?" And she's in Piqua. I mean, you know, and then she followed it up with, "Well, I don't live here." Well, that doesn't matter.
Right.
If you're standing in front of it, you think you'd ask what it is. So those are the kinds of people that we want to get to so that they know. And so when somebody says, "What can you do in Piqua?" there's going to be a list of things that you can do. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. May I hand these out?
Oh, yeah,
Any
absolutely.
other
Yeah,
questions?
thank you.
I'm so glad you took that river cruise. Great. I love it.
Thank you, John.
Don, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
If you have any additional ideas, let me know.
Yeah.
If you want to go on the tour, get a ticket.
I
You
will.
will, thank you.
Well, thank you very
I
much.
think I recognize the person on the canoe boat.
Wow.
Yeah, all right.
I think it's great.
We have another presentation this evening. It's Trap, Neuter, Release Program by the Humane Society of Greater Dayton. So would you come forward, please? Hello there.
Hi there. Thank you, Mayor Pearson and City Commissioners for having me. I'm Brian Welke. I'm the Director of the Humane Society of Greater Dayton. And we were fortunate over the last number of years to be able to expand our facility and put in something called a high-volume spay-neuter clinic. And our high-volume spay-neuter clinic right now is performing about 7,000 to 8,000 surgeries a year for spay and neuter. And we've been working in Montgomery County for many years. And Mandy Combs, who's here with me tonight, is one of the ones who's helping us expand our programs. And so as we grow, the building is actually capable of doing up to 20,000 surgeries a year. And so I'm typically here in front of a city commission like you all, trying to convince them to do a cat management program. But tonight I'm here to sing your praises for you've already are involved with the community cat program. You're a very progressive city. And by the way, I want to take this tour. I think that's really
There you
very
go.
progressive. So,
First customer.
yeah. So I'm thrilled that we're working with you already. And the goal of the community cat program, which is a trap, neuter, return program, is to, in a positive and ethical way, decrease the number of outdoor cats in your community. The program's a little counterintuitive. People who don't typically like it or agree with it don't understand why cats are brought back. Cats are brought back because they live where they are trapped, but we perform a surgery on them that prevents them from reproducing. And we also give them a rabies vaccination. We treat them for ear mites and other type of parasites, make them a healthier animal, but they can't reproduce. And so the Trap, Neuter, Return program is designed to decrease cat populations over time. I don't think I've ever advocated for any city or community that you should never have any outdoor cats, because as soon as you get to a point like that, your rat and mouse populations start to climb. So there's really a nice balance that you really want to achieve. Your population in the city of Piqua is roughly, and correct me if I'm wrong, but roughly 20,000 people, 21,000, somewhere in that ballpark. And by estimates, there are a lot of different ways of estimating outdoor cat populations, but by estimates, it appears, based on your population, that you could have as little as 1,333 outdoor community cats, or as high as 3,000. So it's somewhere in that range. Most of the community cats in any community in the United States are unspayed and unneutered. They're unowned cats. They're free-roaming cats. They typically, in the outdoor cat population, you'll see unowned cats, but you'll also see people who have stray cats that they care for. Could be their cat, they just don't have identified. And so the other nice thing about the program is that when we trap a cat or receive a cat from your community that is unidentified, which means it doesn't have a collar, it doesn't have a microchip, it has no tattoo, no identifying markings, we consider it a community cat or an unknown cat. And so that cat will have the best chance, of course, of making it back home when it's spayed, neutered. We will ear tip those cats that are unknown because the reason we do that is so we can identify them in a trap. So if someone is trapping a cat and it has an ear tip already, you just let them out of the trap because they've already gone through the program. So over time, your community will see a decrease, but again, a healthy balance is the goal of the program. And again, I just wanted to thank you for being a progressive city and really getting involved in cat management, which is what this is. I did provide, I hope you have them, some information.
Thank you.
We are not part of the Humane Society of the United States. It's confusing for people, but most humane societies in the country are individually owned, not-for-profit organizations. The Humane Society of the United States is a national, and actually it's a worldwide organization. They just happen to put out some really good information that I like to share. And so that's a really great one for municipal leaders that want to understand about feeding programs or trap, neuter, return programs. So that'll answer most of your questions, but I'm also here if you have any questions of me. Do you have any questions of the program or?
I've been a proponent of the project, and the city manager and I have talked several times about it. We're on our third generation of feral cats in the house next door to me. So I understand completely what we're talking about. I'm concerned about cost. If you are spaying and neutering cats, how is that cost accomplished?
So the way we, I mean, if you were to see the total cost of a community cat, it's roughly about $80-some for a humane society to spay, neuter, ear tip, vaccinate, and do all the parasite treatment. Your city has given, I think, a grant of $5,000 that will carry you through a lot of cats. And at that point, we would reapproach you if there were more cats to trap. We're just leaving, we're kind of in the middle of the breeding season for cats. Cats are seasonal breeders. So during the fall, winter months, they don't breed as quickly as they do in the spring and summer. So you're probably seeing a peak now with kittens, but as you start getting more involved in this program, you won't see as many kittens next year and the year after. You'll see the adult cats, but you won't see the kittens.
So $5,000 would get us started on the program, and then there will be communication between you and the city on
Yes.
how are we doing, how many cats have we done?
Yes, I think Mandy's in touch with, is it Paul? Yeah. Yes, is in touch with Paul, and she'll keep him abreast of what's going on and where we are with the program, how many are being done, and what's remaining in the fund.
Yeah. The other part of the conversation, of course, is that I'm also the neighborhood where I've had 5 cats hit and killed because they're running from house to house trying to get food, and that's not a very good system for controlling the cat population.
No, you're right. And for those, usually when I'm here convincing a commission to try to do something with community cats, I usually talk to them about their population as a whole, and your population from what people care about cats is like a bell curve. You have some people on the far side that really love cats and want to do everything for cats. You have people on the opposite side, very low percent that really dislike cats and want them off the street, would rather have them euthanized. And the most people within your community, that big bell part, really don't care one way or another unless they're being affected by cats next to them or in their garden or something like that. But this program will reduce whatever complaint calls you're getting, because citizens not only will see a decrease in the bad behaviors of community cats, but they're going to see that you're a progressive city and doing something about it. You're not doing nothing about it. So I think that's good.
Will you be participating in some kind of an announcement that on this date we're going to start to trap? And I don't know.
I'm not privy to that part of it, but we're happy to help. If you have a city newsletter, we're happy to put something in with your edit approval, to go out to citizens, let them know that the program's in place. We're also happy to come up to a local library and maybe do a cat forum or a cat educational night where we can announce that we're going to be there and address some of the concerns that maybe your community may have. People may have some concerns about that. And we can coordinate maybe with Paul or someone to do that kind of educational outing.
Good.
Yeah, is that helpful?
It probably won't help the fact that I'm still scooping up cat dung from my mulch, but that's another story for another time. So.
Rescue, the help is on the way.
Thank you.
Well, I know that trying to trap and neuter a cat can be challenging.
Yes.
And then to get it to a vet that's going to do the surgery and pay $222 is what we've had two neutered so far this spring. And I have a mama kitty under my deck with 4 babies. So, it is a challenge.
It is.
But your $5,000 might be helpful.
It will be helpful. It'll be helpful to your city. It'll be helpful to your city in that we can get a lot of cats done. And if you want to continue the program, we're able to continue that program.
Yeah.
And I think one of the people, one of your citizens, I don't know her name, but she's very active with trapping cats and bringing them to us.
Kathy.
She probably is well aware of where the hot spots are in your community. And so I'm guessing she'll be targeting those areas. And targeted TNR or targeted programs are really the most effective in decreasing the cat populations. So you have someone already who's working hard for your city.
Yeah.
And we're here to help with that effort too. All right?
Good.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
information.
My
We
pleasure.
appreciate it.
All right, thank you. My contact information is there also.
Right.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to call me.
Gotcha.
All right?
Thank you
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a consent agenda, approval of the minutes from our last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Resolution number R-75-23.
A resolution appointing a member to the Charter Review Committee.
This is to replace the first ward commission, or charter review committee member who resigned, and Michelle Perry is been nominated by Mr. Vetter to take that place. They'll serve, the charter review members technically serve for 10 years, and she will continue that on that board for 10 years.
So, welcome to Michelle, to the Charter Review Committee.
I would move the approval of Resolution R-75-23.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Welcome aboard, Michelle.
Yeah. Under new business, we have ordinance number O-5-23.
An ordinance authorizing the submission of a proposed amendment to Piqua Charter Section 4, Meeting of Commission.
And these are actually several amendments to the charter. The Charter Review Committee met last year and came up with 9 recommendations for changes to the charter. The Charter Review Commission consisted of Roger Baseman from the 2nd Ward, Nolan Campbell from the 3rd Ward, Carol Austin from the 4th Ward, and David Roth from the 5th Ward, and Nolan Campbell chaired the committee. I also sat in. The changes are set forth in the ordinance. I am going to modify this ordinance before final consideration a little bit for some language changes that I've noticed tonight. It'll be a little bit different, but it won't be anything substantively different in the charter review, or in the ordinance. Section 4 of the charter will be amended to change the first meeting in January from 7:30 to 6 p.m. on the first Tuesday in January. I think this is something all the commissioners
Sense.
wish
Yes.
to have happen.
Thank you.
Section 31, the recommendation is that city manager be able to appoint department head, officers, employees on a temporary basis for not more than 90 days. Currently, the manager has the right to permit to appoint them for 60 days, and this would expand that temporary appointment power. Section 46 basically changes the language in this section to make it clear that the city of Piqua, for its purchasing powers, will follow the statutory plan for cities. There's a statute that changes regularly on the amounts that you have to go out for bids for purchasing supplies and other items. And Chapter 46 is just being amended to just follow the statutory city formula rather than the city of Piqua going in and modifying it every so many years. The same is with Section 61, although that section is going to be deleted, but basically it's being deleted to state that the public works projects will be bid out as set forth in the statutory, by statutory cities. So we'll follow the Ohio Revised Code for both Section 46 and 61. Section 67 was recommended by the Charter Committee Review Committee to allow the police chief or city manager to appoint special police officers for a specified period of time. Currently, that's limited to 6 months. The reason for the change is, for example, school resource officers, their term will be longer than 6 months. They're in the schools for 9 months, and a lot of times these are officers that are appointed by the police chief, and he wanted the flexibility to appoint special police officers for longer terms. Section 94 of the charter will appoint, and this is an area, there's an including here that needs to be deleted in this section. Section 94 will be amended to permit the city manager to designate any city staff member as an ex officio member of the Planning Commission. Section 116, this is something that I think most people will be very happy about. And when you run for city commission, the city of Piqua had its own special form. What we ask is that we do away with that special form. It caused a lot of problems with the Board of Elections, and that we will follow the same form that all the other communities do for nomination of commission and council members.
Frank,
Section,
can I-
yes.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I didn't want to forget this. So if this passes, I just want to make sure if we have people who want to run for commission, they wouldn't have to do that form then, correct?
In the future.
But they would have to
This
year.
next election, you have to use the same city of Piqua form. If this passes, then the city of Piqua would follow the statutory form for council, just like all the other communities in the entire
So
area.
if this passes before August,
It's not going to.
it's not going to?
This will go on the ballot in November.
Oh, that's
for
right, okay, that's right. It has to go on the ballot.
Citywide
okay.
approval.
So for clarification, if somebody wants to run, they still have to do that form?
That's correct.
Okay.
Good question.
Section 121 was brought up by the Charter Review Committee, and it stated they were lowering the amount of registered voters needed to recall a commissioner, which would take it from 2,000 to 1,250 votes. Section 21 was also brought up by the Charter Review Committee, and they have it where it would prohibit recalls for commissioners during their first 6 months of their term and at the end of 6 months of his or her term. The reason for that is one, they felt that all commissioners should be giving some sort of length of time before they have a recall, and the other was at the end of the 6 months, at the end of their term, they're going to have an election. If the people want to vote them out, that they could vote them out at that time. And that is it. I would ask not to pass it tonight, but I would ask that potentially that the commission consider passing it next month or next meeting. In case there's any problems with the ordinance, I can take it down to the Board of Elections, have them review it.
Typically, there's a 3-reading rule, so the next meeting, we would,
Would have to waive the 3 reading rules to do that.
okay.
So what was the concern of with the ordinance? Like, why would you want to do it an extra meeting early? Because we have to
Just
have it
if
by
there's a
August 8th.
problem with any of the language, or the Board of Elections comes back and says, hey, we don't like what you're doing, I can come back and correct it if I had to.
Gotcha.
I don't want it to, I never know what's gonna happen down the Board of Elections, and I just don't wanna be in a position where I have to call a special meeting and have everybody back in.
Because the 3rd would be the end of July, and you have to have it
Yeah.
first week of August.
It
Okay.
has to be in by August 8th. And also, there's nothing extremely controversial in this these recommendations. Although if the commission does not want any of these put on, they certainly can vote to remove them from the ordinance.
Are there any questions or concerns from commissions?
I just want to thank the Charter Review Committee. I think they did a really good job. It's a lot to go through and just kind of piece, together the charter and try to bring it into today's language. So
Great.
thank you for all of those
Thank
who
you.
were part of it.
Appreciate their time and dedication to it.
Yeah, they spent about 6 months on this,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. They met on a monthly basis. We considered putting it on the ballot in November last year, just because of the timing of getting everything together. We couldn't put it in November. We then considered putting it on in the spring, but to do that, we would have to pay for the election, so we deferred, or at least I deferred it to the November ballot.
Okay. All right. Are there any questions or concerns from our citizens? Okay. Very good. We'll put it on the next agenda.
First reading then.
Right.
For first reading.
Resolution number R-76-23.
A resolution fixing the time and place for a public hearing on the proposed city tax budget for Miami County for the calendar year 2023 and draft appropriation ordinance.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is just a resolution that we have to bring to you all in advance of our reading for the county tax budget that will be prepared and read for you and for the public hearing at the June 20th meeting starting at 6 p.m. But this resolution has to be passed that we notified you all that it will be done and prepared for you. And the county tax budget is a yearly budget. We draft out the appropriations we anticipate for the following year.
Great. Are there any comments or questions from commission? Any citizen questions or comments? All right. I move to adopt resolution number R-76-23.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carried. Resolution number R-77-23.
A resolution awarding a contract to Barrett Paving Materials Incorporated for the 2023 Pavement Preservation Program Mill and Overlay Project.
Good evening, Commission. This is the third component of our pavement preservation program that we've talked about over the past few meetings. You'll recall we previously authorized the ADA curb ramp replacements and also contracts through the state bid process for microsurfacing and sealing of various streets. This item relates to the streets that are further along in terms of the degradation and require milling and a new overlay to repair the surface of the street's riding condition. The piece that you have before you this evening, the expenditure would be $621,000, which includes a 10% contingency. You can see that we received 3 bids for the project, 2 very competitive and a third reasonable, but we're very satisfied with the numbers that we received, and this combined with the other 2 initiatives are the total of the program, and all are within the $1.6 million that we put aside for the pavement preservation program. If authorized, the contractor is prepared to gear up to mobilize in September and complete the work by October.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from commission?
Chris, the map that you previously shared, this is the map that will be used for implementing the process?
Correct.
Yeah.
In your packet, there's a couple sheets from that map that we have on our website, on our GIS portal, but this filters out everything else and just shows you the sections of streets that are being milled and overlaid. So you have Washington Avenue, Wood Street, a portion of Brook Street, Manier Avenue, Gordon Street, Haverhill, Dover, and a couple other little smaller streets in the Candlewood neighborhood.
Okay.
And those are the sections of a street that ranked based upon the pavement condition index, rated the highest or in the greatest need of attention in terms of resurfacing.
Any questions or comments from citizens? Is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution passed. Resolution number R-78-23.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into preliminary legislation with the Ohio Department of Transportation for the East Ash Street US 36 guardrail project.
Thank you, Commission. This item is related to a piece of infrastructure that is maintained by ODOT, and it's a section of guardrail located near the southbound on-ramp at I-75 where US 36 crosses over the interstate. And before ODOT does work on any of the infrastructure they're responsible for within a locality, they ask that the locality adopt the preliminary legislation so that we're acknowledging the project and demonstrating our awareness of the work they intend to do. It's 100% funded by ODOT. There's no cost incurred to the locality, but this is just part of their process to make sure that we're acknowledging we're aware of the work being done.
Okay. Comments or questions from commission? Comments or questions from citizens? I move that we adopt resolution number R-78-23.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carried. Resolution number R-79-23.
A resolution approving the Community Development Block Grant Community Development Allocation Program application for program year 2023 and authorizing the city manager to submit the application to the Ohio Development Services Agency, Office of Community Development.
This item relates to our every other year allocation of CDBG funds. In order to receive those funds, we are required to conduct 2 public hearings. Taylor Bowser in our office, the development program manager, has been navigating that process and making sure that we're doing the things required of us to position us to be able to apply for the funds. Assuming receipt of the funds, which this program is typically not competitive, and provided you've done what's required of you, you receive the funds. But it does have limitations in terms of how the funds can be utilized. Our allocation is typically $150,000. We expect that would be the same again in this cycle. And this resolution that you have before you is merely to authorize us to apply for the funds. It's not the point where we're expending any dollars. We're simply applying for the money to hopefully receive it so that then we can go forward with some of the projects discussed in the public hearings, which by and large demonstrated a strong interest in continuing with slum and blight removal is the utilization of these funds.
This application is due June 14th, correct?
Correct. They give you a relatively tight window to complete the work that you need to complete and get the authorization and get it into
But the
them.
grant money is to be spent in 2024, right?
Correct. We're just applying for it now. We would find out later this year if we're going to receive the funds, and then the work would actually happen next year.
And this is something we do every year for that
It's
grant.
every other year,
Every
but
other
yeah, it's an allocation that's available to us. All we need to do is apply and have an eligible project and execute it properly.
Can you, for our citizens, share a little bit about what that money has gone to in the past so they understand the importance of this grant?
In most recent times, it's been slum and blight removal. That's what we've done with it the past 2 cycles, and hence the uptick and demolition of blighted structures that the activity you've seen there. Prior to that, it's been utilized for parking lot improvements. The program is somewhat limited. You can do parking lot, street improvements, sidewalks, parking facilities, flood and drainage facilities, and/or demolition activity. Some of the other categories come with a few more restrictions in that it has to be in a low to moderate income census tract. So you may have a project that seems like a good fit, but if it's not in an LMI designated census tract, then you can't use these funds for that location. So there's certain criteria, given the nature of the funding, that have to be satisfied. So we're always looking for the project that is going to provide the greatest impact for the community in terms of the outcomes produced.
And these items were all discussed at our open meeting when we reviewed a whole variety of projects. So, and I have a feeling I know where most of the money is going to be spent. So, since my census tract helps the city qualify for CDB jump funding, I think I understand that part of the process.
Are there any other questions or comments? Citizens, questions or comments?
I would move the adoption of Resolution 79-23.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carried. Resolution number R-80-23.
A resolution adopting the City of Piqua's anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan as required by the Ohio Department of Development.
Thank you. This item and the next item I would refer to as housekeeping type items. These are both plans that are, or policies that are required to be adopted by the locality when you're utilizing any of the funding sources through the CDBG programs. The first one, the anti-displacement and relocation assistant plan, and then the second one under the next resolution is a citizens participation plan as part of the community development block grant procedures. Basically, both of these plans or policies are provided to you by the federal agencies that administer the programs, and the locality is required to have them in place. The preference is that they be updated or readopted every 5 years. And Taylor's work going back through our files and making sure everything is in order, she discovered that we're lagging a couple years on readoption of both of these items. So hence putting the items back before you this evening so we can get them readopted and stay in compliance with the program requirements.
Do you have any questions or comments, commissioners? Citizens, any questions or comments?
I guess the only comment I have is good job that she caught this. So, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. I move that we adopt resolution number R-80-23.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion to adopt resolution number R-81-23?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carried. Resolution number R-82-23.
A resolution authorizing an agreement for engineering services for the Great Miami River Low Dam Removal and Modification Project.
Thank you. This item is the follow-up to our previous discussions about moving forward with the design work related to the low dam removal and modifications project, referring to the low dam behind the former power plant and then also the low dam at the water intake pooling area north of town. As you'll recall, the feasibility study recommendations suggested that the low dam to the north, where we pool water for intake for the water treatment system, should receive some enhancements on the downstream side of the dam that would allow for fish passage and safe passage by watercraft. And then the low dam to the rear of the power plant was identified as being obsolete, no longer necessary. And there was a fair amount of discussion, of course, which led us to the commission authorizing us to seek proposals to go forward with this discussion. The idea being here that we would engage Flatland Resources, who is the same consultant that worked on the feasibility study and is very familiar with our our river corridor and our community and the other initiatives we have ongoing. And they would do the design work necessary to put together the plan documents that ultimately would be what we could use to solicit proposals to figure out what the cost of that work's going to look like and be able to go forward with it. As part of Flatland's work, they would be doing the typical customary type work that you would expect for any construction plans type project, topographic surveys, field data collection. They would be working through any issues with easements and environmental assessments and providing legal descriptions and such. And of course, the engineering computations that go with that, development of the plan documents and so on and so forth. There is a piece to the request that is a contingency of sorts, $42,120 of the $239,750 that's being requested would be only if necessary to navigate some of the different permitting requirements that you may encounter with a variety of the state and federal organizations that are interested in waterway improvement, shall we say. And you really don't know what those permitting requirements might entail until you've got more detail in terms of your design product. So hence the reason for that being shown as a contingency item. And then finally, I think most important perhaps to the City Commission is the public engagement piece. So we requested in the request for proposals, and they responded with a very robust public engagement piece that would provide up to 3 meetings with our citizens as they advance through the design iterations so that we can make sure whatever the design intent is at the end of the day with the construction documents accurately reflects the desired outcomes of the citizens once the project's built.
And it looks like it will be completed before next summer.
The design work, yes. This is the design phase, so.
Just the design phase,
Yep,
okay.
and
I
this-
thought, wow, okay.
Well, this conceivably gets us to a spot by the end of the year where we have a good enough understanding of the project that one of the first steps will be to lock in the WRRSP funding source, which there's sponsorships that have to be secured, and part of the work that Flatland will be doing is to help us with identifying where those opportunities may be. That is, if a community's developing a water treatment plant or wastewater treatment plant and leveraging that funding source from OEPA, they can realize tax credits by way of sponsoring our project, as kind of the simple way of describing it. So once we then have that funding commitment locked in, then we would be able to go forward. So depending on the timing of all that, there could be construction activity in 2024.
Okay.
I appreciate the construction cost estimates and the timelines and the breakdown of how the project is going to move forward. So,
I appreciate the public input portion. And let people have a say.
right.
Yeah, I feel like we've had so many meetings about this that public definitely had a chance to speak, so, from way back in pre-COVID.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got the concepts in the feasibility study, and this will just continue that dialogue with the folks that are engaged in the conversation as the design becomes firm, and that their input will be there as part of that as we move towards that end goal.
Is it possible that any of the 239,000 plus could be supplemented by other sources other than the city? Or is this going to be our costs for the engineering?
Actually, the entirety of the design dollar amount, the 239, may be reimbursable through the WRSP program, which is one of the advantages of that funding source. But here again, there's some requirements of the program that we don't have the answers to their questions until we do some of the design work. So we need to advance the design work to be able to answer the questions that then will finalize the eligibility of that funding and hence allow us to be reimbursed for the design work.
Any other comments or questions from commission? Any citizen question or comments? I move that we adopt resolution number R-82-23.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carried. It's public comment time. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the City Commission regarding agenda items, issues, or to provide information. comments are requested to be limited to 5 minutes, and specific questions should be addressed to the city manager's office. Public comment.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
I am Larry Hamilton, and I reside at 1104 Maplewood Drive. And before I make my announcements, I would like to commend Mr. Smith and the people working with him in connection with promoting Piqua. I, too, have had a long concern and actually mentioned to a number of commissioners just today my desire to promote tourism in the city of Piqua and to make it more inclusive. So this is something that I will strive to promote and advocate on behalf of the city of Piqua, and I want to make sure that Mr. Smith and all the others who are part of that group know that I too would like to be welcomed to help in making this a more inclusive, prosperous, and hospitable community. What I really wanted to share this evening, and I'll come back to those points in particular at some other time, but I wanted to make the commissioners aware that we at the Randolph and McCulloch Freedom Struggle Complex will be celebrating Juneteenth, and we want to make sure that people are aware of who is going to be there and extend an invitation to people to come out and see the performers and presenters and some of the activities that will be taking place at 655 North Main Street, which is right at the bridge crossing over to Rossville. On Friday evening, June 16th, there will be Jason Daniels, Sean McSwain, and there will be an expansion proposal for the R&M complex with me sharing some of my ideas for 655 North Main. At 7 and 8, there will be a musical group, Born to Conquer. Saturday, June 17th, 9 to 10, Building Generational Wealth by Protecting Your Assets. The presenter is Tyrone Collier. There will be a drum circle for Juneteenth opening from 10 to 11. Jason Daniels, once again, will be from 11 to 11:30. Lucy's Story, Camp Nelson and USCTs will be a presentation I will make, and that will be from 11 to 12. 11:45 to 12:30 is Killian's Daughter. 12:45 to 1:30 is Mitch Barhorse. 1 to 2, Drab Irish Band. 1:45 to 2:30, Mike Kaiser. From 2 to 4, the Randolph and McCulloch complex will participate in Troy's Juneteenth parade. From 2 to 3, the Schaefers will appear. From 2:45 to 3:30, the Forest Hill, along with John Dankworth, will entertain. Jimmy Phelps from 3 to 4. Jack Arntz from 3:45 to 4:30. Innovation Jazz Quartet, one of my favorites, will be entertaining from 4 to 5. Born to Conquer again from 4:45 to 5:30. Sean McSwain from 5 to 6. Kayla Michael and Whitney Bailey from 6 to 7. And 7 to 7:30, jazz saxophonist Kevin Walters. From 7:30 to 10, we'll have Old School Records and Dancing with Tim Worth, Gonzo Radio. Sunday morning, June 18th, Greater Love Missionary Baptist Church will offer a 9 a.m. continental breakfast, a Sunday school lesson, and we'll have a morning worship service honoring the Father. And that's the Father of all fathers, and that'll be Father's Day. Paisha Thomas, a well-known soloist, will be performing that day. There will be a short mortgage burning ceremony. God has blessed me to be able to pay off my home mortgage as well as my business mortgage, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to honor him for that blessing. Juneteenth, Monday, official holiday, 10 to 12, Finding Your Roots. We hope people will make an effort to trace their Randolph lineage. 12 to 1:30, the Randolph Narrative Dialogues with host Larry Hamilton and retired Father Tom Him, a Piqua native, now of Carthagena and the St. Charles Rectory, will be in dialogue and conversation. There will be a paper presented by Darian Wilkerson, a Randolph descendant. Michael Badger will be there from 1:30 to 2, talking about the Buffalo Soldiers. Sherry Petersheim will talk about the black settlement of Longtown and her service as a docent at the Levi Coffin House. From 3 to 6, this is an important one. There will be News or Lose competition, and we're inviting especially the Randolph connected communities of Piqua, Sidney, Troy, and also by invitation we'll extend to the Longtown settlement and Greenville descendants to take part in that program. From 6 to 7, there will be a showing of Out of Tune and an interview with writer-producer Erica Hamilton Lubeck. And to finish it out, from 7 to 10, Kenny Ray's old school DJ hits and dancing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry.
Larry, people may not appreciate, but the Levi Coffin House is actually in Indiana. And Levi Coffin was now a well-known Quaker who was a very active participant in the Underground Railroad in the Richmond, Indiana area.
Yes,
So
it's
a great history.
The Coffin House is right across the Indiana border and right adjacent to Longtown, the Longtown settlement. That is about, 8 or 10 miles outside of Greenville. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's quite a lineup.
Wow. It's happening.
This may seem a little minor in comparison to everything that's been discussed, but so in December last year, the city came in and replaced a lot of the trees in the boulevard in our area. Sorry, it's 1038 Nicklin. Forgot to give my address. The saplings are there and are doing okay with the ones that our neighborhood has been watering in the past couple of weeks since we've had no rain. I'm asking when the maintenance is supposed to be for those trees, because the trees that aren't being watered by the people that live there are definitely dying. And I want to make sure that the money that has been spent to replace those trees by the city hasn't gone to waste. So I want to make sure that they're being maintained correctly. There's also a lot of sucker saplings going on the trees in the boulevard, and I want to make sure those are taken care of too.
We'll have our arborist look into it and make sure it's scheduled. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for
Yeah,
letting
thank
us
you.
know.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Good evening, everyone. I have to apologize, I have a cold, but this is so important. So if I start coughing, I have an alternate, and that's Don Smith, who's going to take over. I have such great news to tell you about a project that our Friends of the Parks has just completed, and that's at Pittsburgher Park. Our committee has been established for about 9 years. It's a nonprofit, and it was established to support the development and enhancement of the park system within the city of Piqua. Some of the things we've done, and I think you probably are aware of this, we re-landscaped the 2 slopes at East Route 36, which look lovely. One little issue, but we're going to try to address that soon. And then we improved the entrance to Pittsburgher Park off of McKinley Avenue, and we also built that beautiful life-size statue of William Pittsburgher. So we have done a number of major things. We have done some things at Dawes Park. Dawes Park, by the way, looks just lovely. And I think I saw a couple of the ladies from the Garden Club, and they should be surely commended for their, when I go by and see those women out working when it's 90 degrees, I just want to pull up and get them in my car quick because it's so hot outside. They do a wonderful job. Our committee is, they're all here tonight. It's Edna Stiffel and Don Smith, Russ Fashner, and we're very pleased to say that we have Commissioner Jim Vetter and our Mayor Cindy Pearson on our committee. Two of our members, that's Edna and Russ, have received the Margaret and Scott Hinch Community Service Award because of the work they've done on this committee. The renovation that took place at Pitts and Margaret Park recently, we started in the fall, but the weather kind of turned very, very cold, so we couldn't complete it until just this month. We renovated the concession stand. Concrete pad was in pretty bad shape, and so was the shelter. So we had a new concrete pad poured. We had sidewalks all around the concession building poured and renovated. We had the roof structure, which is absolutely beautiful. I hope you all have a chance to go up and see it. It is, when you go under it, it is pitched now instead of the flat roof, and so it gives the children, you know, there are probably about 2,500 kids who use that park for baseball and softball. And so now the kids can entertain their friends and families under this new shelter. We're going to have a metal roof put on the shelter soon. And then we had the building, the concession building, painted, and the wonderful donor also painted the adjacent garage. So now it is a beautiful gray color. So let's see, what else did we do? Oh, and there are new picnic tables. So all in all, it is a beautiful addition. And again, we are fulfilling our mission, which is to enhance our parks. And I want to just name a couple of people who were this probably cost our committee, who found donors and benefactors, almost $30,000. That does not include this metal roof or some other work. The donors were Piqua Community Foundation. They are always so wonderful about assisting any of our committees here in Piqua who are doing such fine work. Miami County Foundation, the Lungard Foundation, the Piqua Junior Baseball and Softball League. They are so committed to this project and to those kids in that league. It's wonderful. Isaiah Industries, they are the ones who provided us with a new metal roof for the shelter. And Todd Miller has become a good friend to our organization. I don't want to tell him this, but we'll probably be calling on him another time. Hearts Propeller, they are always a great funder for us, and they supplied some volunteer employees. Brian Brothers Painting and Bill Toops, who is semi-retired, did all the painting for us. SRM Ready Mix, which is the former Piqua Concrete, supplied all the concrete for us. The City of Piqua and Amy Walker were so gracious and generous to our committee, as well as Quint Creative Signs. Tomorrow night at the park, about 5:15, we're going to do a little celebration for the new look of that concession stand area. So we'd like to invite the other commissioners. I know Jim and Cindy are both planning on being there at 5:15 tomorrow night. We did today put up a sign with all the donors and benefactors of the project. But I thought, all in all, you all would like to hear all the good news that these volunteer committees are doing. And these volunteer committees, or this volunteer committee of ours, some of them have other jobs, but they take their time away from their job to help beautify our committee. So you'll probably be hearing from us again as we take on another project after we meet with Amy Walker. I can't believe it, I made it through without coughing. I have to tell you this. So we ran home and I took a couple of slugs of codeine cough syrup and it worked. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you
you
for the
so
update.
much.
Ruth,
Thank you for the
great
work that's been
report.
done.
Thank you.
I'm Arlene Coyne. I live on Caldwell Street. Thank you for letting me speak. For several decades, I, along with several others, have volunteered our time and resources to plant flowers to help beautify and brighten our community, including Dawes Park and downtown. Recently, referees approached the city to increase their outdoor seating area. We welcome the idea and have more available options that our community and understand that meant our flowers need to be moved. We had a verbal agreement with the city that gave us until June the 10th to have those removed. However, on June the 1st, we noticed that the flowers had been removed without discussing this with us. I moved pretty fast for nearly 87 years old, but 10 days ahead of schedule is asking a lot. Each of you give your time and resources to this community, so you can surely understand our extreme displeasure and disappointment on the actions undertaken when these flowers were purchased and planted by women nearly 90 years old, mind you, where they were destroyed. I am certain each of your grandmothers taught you it was rude to pick flowers in someone else's garden.
Yeah.
These flowers were not picked, but the entire plants were destroyed. I ask that the city provide a formal and sincere apology to the women who have labored to make Piqua a more beautiful place to call home, and provide monetary resources to replace these flowers at Dawes Park and throughout our committee. Thank you again for the opportunity to address you. We had so many flowers down there, and even without letting us know, they just took them out, and we had a lot of there are a lot of
Can you tell us what happened, Paul?
bulbs.
Sure. First, I'd like to apologize. I did not know that happened. And with my sincerest apologies, that's absolutely terrible that it didn't sequence in the way that we expected it to. On the other hand, I can tell you that our crews are becoming ambitious, and I think their ambition overrode the fact that none of them understand how important the flower beds were. So I would be glad to sit down with you, Amy Walker, who's over Parks and Public Works, who scheduled the work. Again, it must have been an oversight or miscommunication, and our crews got too excited to get out there and get the work done.
We asked several people when they were going to work.
It's been a miscommunication the
and
whole way around.
It's really been,
Nobody wanted to talk to us when this first happened. We went around and around in a circle. We were told we could not come and talk to you about anything because that wasn't your billywhack. And I mean,
Sure it is.
when you don't communicate with people, you get people angry and people are unhappy.
right.
And, you know, as it is, when the DORA, when referees increased their DORA, they busted our irrigation system.
That we bought and paid for in 2006 with our garden club money.
In fact,
And have
Nana,
maintained it every year since. And what do we get? Nothing. They tore it all up. They finally called Kurt Heemer. I don't know how, I bet all of you know Kurt.
Yeah, we know.
He's a lifesaver in Piqua,
Yes, he
believe me.
is.
Anyway, he came down, he sent me a bill, but I think the city needs to pay his bill for $245. He had to go down there and work on that system because there were 3 different areas that it was watering. There was the triangle bed, there was the bed with the tall tree, and there was the bed with the statue. Well, they kept saying, no, we can't do that, we can't do that, no, this has got to go. Well, they didn't even tell us what they were going to do, so we lost all of our flower bulbs because they were in the ground and they stuck concrete and fencing in them. So we've lost hundreds of dollars in bulbs.
and it was no sense to deal with that because our hedge was there, their fence was there. We could not clean it or anything. And unfortunately, you have to communicate, and if you don't communicate, then you
Agreed.
go around in circles.
Will you sit down with our city manager and
Who
talk
can we
about?
ask?
Can I,
They just keep passing the buck.
No, no, he's here right now.
yeah,
Will you
Yeah,
sit
I'm right
down?
here, and this is the first I've heard of it, so.
There.
It's been terrible. We have, and I talked to one person and they said, yeah, we're gonna do it tomorrow. Well, tomorrow was
scared.
yesterday, because they've already done it,
Scared,
and they
I'm
dug everything out. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Well, I guess I just misunderstood you. We saved flowers in there to move because we told them, if you want that area for the city, which I don't know what they're gonna do with it. I hate to think what they're gonna do with it, besides put the Roundup on that they did and took out all the plants. But it's just the idea that Don Gentile's family deserves better than that. We told him the three of us will keep that part of that flower bed, but we have to go buy flowers to put in it because they destroyed all the ones we were gonna move in there.
Can I ask a question, just for clarification? Is there a piece of,
Around the statue is the one bed that we said we would keep.
You would
and we
keep,
And
and
that was the irrigation system that was to that.
okay, and my heart goes out to you. If my mother were still alive, she would be up here screaming as well, because
Yep.
she was very passionate about taking care of
Ladies,
things.
I
And,
sincerely
yeah.
apologize from our
Yeah.
standpoint as well.
And,
think
I mean,
I s-
and I think from what, and knowing our city manager, I think if you all could sit down with him.
Exactly.
I believe that we can come to some type of
He'll work with you.
agreement where we can take care of some things and try to reimburse what has happened. I mean, it's unfortunate. It really is.
He'll work with you. Please, just
Yeah.
sit down and talk to you.
He was a Piqua hero, and we're not
Yes,
gonna
ma'am.
I agree.
Yes, ma'am.
I agree. And I know
Absolutely.
that you can move bulbs and you can move plants. Believe me, I've done this numerous times with my mother. So I get it. I get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it.
And as it was, we moved a bunch to Dawes, and you
Yes.
can only have so much to put in
Yes.
Dawes that you've ever
Exactly.
seen there.
Yep.
Right.
You're right.
Right. But you would have liked to have had the choice as to what to do with them.
Right.
So,
I get it.
The
And we
last-
thought we did.
Yeah.
We gave them a date, but they didn't pay
please,
any
if you
attention.
guys will stick around until after this is over and get with him and set up a date and time so that we can
Oh,
figure this all out.
absolutely. And again, I apologize for our crews being so aggressive. I have to tell you that, yes, in the,
Down there, and, they were all gone. We couldn't even find out where they were.
Wow.
right.
Dumped somewhere.
And that again, I apologize that the communication didn't happen down the front line, but those guys, I don't think have an appreciation for flowers and the
Right.
care that you
What
put
it
into
takes.
it.
But there was no communication at all when this started with referees. We got a call, we had questions, and nobody would call us back, or if they would, we'd have to call, we have to hunt up, then we were given another name, and then we went full circle back to the first name. So we had no one,
To talk to.
no one.
Yeah.
And I'll find out how that
Apologize for that as
miscommunication
well.
happened, because that's not typical for how we engage with our citizens, and certainly all the work that you put into it. So,
I mean, we've taken care of Doss Park.
Yes.
3 beds downtown for years.
For years.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're looking at what's left of the garden club. There's 3 of us, and we
Right.
maintain 5 beds.
Yes.
And we thank you.
Well, we appreciate everything that you've done. Thank you.
I agree.
Well, please
So,
know that you have this full commission
Full
support.
commission. Yes, you
And,
do.
yeah, please speak to the city manager, and if it continues to be an issue, come back and talk to us. That's why we're here.
Well, see, somebody said, well, you should go to the commission meeting. Well, I called at your last meeting, and they said, well, there's no point in you going.
Who told you that?
So we didn't come, whoever
Well,
answered the phone.
Well, they were mistaken. See?
And I'll
Make
tell
sure you stick around. We'll get you some help.
I'm gonna give you, this is my card right here. It has my personal number on it. There you go.
Okay.
And you can get in touch with the rest of us as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
We don't want downtown to look like
We
that.
agree.
Nope.
We don't want yellow sticks in the middle of the street.
No, we're working on that too.
Yeah, we are working on it. We are working on it. Yes,
I'm
thank
with you on that.
You gotta feel sorry for those poor semi-drivers that are trying to deliver.
They're not supposed to be down there,
Right.
so they're not. They do
Thank you
deliver, but
very
they go around
much.
the back.
Again,
Thank you
yeah.
for coming.
I can't
Yes, you
believe it.
have.
I know you've dedicated
Yes,
a lot
I've
of
seen
time.
you working
and we
there.
appreciate what you've done. So thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank
for coming.
you. Thank you.
Sorry, but it does get.
No, it's
No.
just, I got scared. It just
Hey,
reminded me of my grandma getting
When my
mad.
mother was your age, she was lugging around bags of mulch in the back of her car, which I could not believe it. But yes, thank you.
Next.
Hello, 1803 Nicklin Avenue, Tom Homan. Well, I did have 2 things, but now I got 3 things. Please help these ladies out.
No, that's a given.
They do. The other thing is just rehashing the community cats program. I think it's a great idea. I think $5,000 is probably a bargain for what we would get out of that. I've been biking around Piqua for, I think, 9 years now, and I always love the spot on the trail with all the cats, and everybody knows where it is. It's a great spot, and breaks my heart I can't take them all home with me. And there's definitely been an uptrend over 9 years. And as cute and cuddly as they are, I hate seeing them out there. You know, the idea that more and more are going to be continuing to be born. Fortunately, it looks like the community really loves them. I know there's all those little huts out there. People go out there and feed and water them. They're all pretty thick boys there, so they're doing pretty good. I know my neighborhood has some community cats that wander around, and they're very well fed, and they're just kind of free range and get pets and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, the person from the Humane Society said, you know, you got the two groups of people who don't like the cats, people who do like the cats, and I think the people who don't like the cats, I'm sure they're going to like having less cats, and the people who do like the cats, you know, we're going to enjoy hearing that there's a humane way of controlling their population so that they're not out of control and there's not cats that are having issues or anything like that. So I would just coming up here to support and encourage that current program, and if it needs to be expanded, I think that it should be expanded if that's what it requires. And then the last thing is coming up here as a representative from the utility board. I kind of see that as the civilian oversight of what the utility board is doing, or what the utility group is doing. And I just want to give a shout out to Kevin. He is doing a really great job. We've been going over, and I'm sure I'm not telling you guys anything that you don't know. I'm more up here just to inform my fellow citizens that the utilities are under good hands. He's doing a really great job with keeping track of numbers. He always comes with spreadsheets and graphs, just a big thick stack of it. He's doing a really good job keeping track of stuff. And mostly it all amounts to he's dropping costs and he's increasing services. And one of the big wins that it sounds like they had recently was the smoke test in the sewers. He was able to identify a really large area where the storm drains were crossing over. And I didn't really know what that meant, but what he told us is every time it rains, you're sending millions and millions and millions of gallons into the water treatment that really is just rainwater. And so them being able to patch that up and make sure that those systems are more separated during high rain events is going to continue to save money at the water treatment level. And it sounds like based off all the budgeting that he's got really big Excel sheets, which is really thorough. I'm part accountant, part data monitor myself, so it's really impressive to see that he's putting that work in. And it sounds like he's going to do a really good job for Paul for your new budget plan that you'd like to have. I think he's probably going to be one of your best departments on that. And then just for my fellow citizens, I know the joke when I told people I was on the utility board is like, well, make my rates go lower. I don't know about lowering the rates, but definitely it sounds like to the extent that it is possible, he is going to be able to keep those rates stable for a long time to come. So I just wanted to give him a shout out and let you guys know that, and let my fellow citizens know that civilian oversight on utilities, they're doing good. They're doing what they need to do for us.
Appreciate that.
Good.
That's
Thank
good
you.
to
Thank
hear.
you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
I just like to comment, I appreciate that and being engaged there, but just knowing, keeping rates the same in this day and age, that's a big deal.
It is. Sure. And the fact that you are paying attention to that means that other citizens are paying attention to that as well. And that's one of the big things that I focused on when I started, so.
Just a comment. I had my little card ready to make similar comments, and again, I'm adding to your nice comments. We had a drain issue down in my neighborhood. I called and talked to Shane, I believe, and they were out within the hour, did the survey, and I got my little compliance card back saying that they'd been out. Very courteous, very timely, very professional, and we're very lucky to have them. So I was prepared to give a shout out too. So you hear my comment, yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the city manager's report.
Good evening, Commissioner. I'll give you an update on the Main Street. So we've been talking for 30 months since I've got here about the conditions on Main Street, the pedestrian vehicular interface that takes place primarily at High Street and Market there. And unfortunately, the short-term or near-term solution to that was to put up the ugly delineators, which reduced the amount of accidents that we had there, that vehicles running into the planters. Since then, and it takes a while, unfortunately, to go through the bureaucracy, but we engaged with OHM consultants, and they've been out. As soon as we cut the purchase order, they were out the next day with their survey crew, and I don't know if folks have seen them downtown, but they've done the complete survey of the area, and they'll be preparing the plans to address all those things that have to do with the not only the truck traffic that goes through there that shouldn't, but also the vehicular and pedestrian interface that can be problematic. So that'll be in the works over the summer and into the fall. You don't want to sell projects in the fall. You want to wait until January when the contractors have wrapped up most of their work for this season, so you get best pricing going into next year. So we anticipate that project to take place next year as well. And hopefully Lock 9 will be done. That project will be kicking off, and we'll be seeing a lot of improvements downtown. So that's just an update that we'll be getting rid of the unsightly traffic control devices that are downtown, unfortunately necessary during this period. I have 3 other items. The first one, June 13th, we have a planning commission meeting. That'll be the introduction of the rental inspection program. That's at 6 p.m. In this chamber, and I would invite any of the public that supports it or any of the property owners that don't support it to come out and state your opinions. Opinions are important to making decisions, and so that's on June 13th. There'll be 3 meetings with the commission after that, with the 3rd reading being the day that hopefully it gets authorized. On June 14th, we have a banner day. It's going to be the Lock 9 groundbreaking at 4 p.m. We're inviting everybody to come down and enjoy, hopefully, a beautiful day of groundbreaking activities at 4 o'clock, and it's going to be monumental for the community. And lastly, just an update on the golf course. Now that we have it under management contract with Hampton, we started to understand better what the improvements that they've been bringing to the table. And just as an example, we got the May financials, and it's up 45% from this time last year. So that has to do with their social media penetration and their marketing presence and things that we're not any good at, including having Callaway Days and other events that are out there. So our hope is to turn that from being a liability on our balance sheet to actually creating revenue that we can do capital improvements out there. So that's just some good news I wanted to end the evening on. Thank you.
Can I ask a question, Paul?
Sure.
We got a memo about what's called workforce housing, and I don't expect you to respond tonight, but could we have a review of that, or presentation on that at some point?
Absolutely.
I'm curious about that. The other thing I got an email about was from the Miami County Public Health Organization about a HEAL grant, if I understood it correctly, and I'm not sure I did, was that they did a survey of administrative people, employees, and I've seen no results on it. I'm just kind of curious about it to know what it is and what implication it might have for the wider community.
Yeah, and I can just tell you the Miami County's been putting together a countywide initiative to deal with things like workforce housing, transportation, child care and elder care and things of that nature. And so it may be good to get some of the information that I've been participating on some of the committees with and have that brought to the commission and just an update. So I'll see if I can do that for you.
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Vice Mayor Lee, comment?
It's summer, close anyways. It looks like we're gonna get a little rain here around 8 o'clock tonight, so we'll stave off the drought a little bit. But as the warmer weather approaches and people are cutting their grass, please be mindful not to blow your grass clippings into the roadway. It affects bicycle riders, motorcycles, cars, everything. So just be careful with grass clippings. I also want to congratulate Katie McFarland. She's a Lehman High School student. She placed first at state in pole vaulting in layman's division. So it's a big thing. She got her personal best of 12 foot, 8 inches, I believe, and she tried for 13. So I was very impressed by that. Diversity Committee will meet next Tuesday, finalize plans for our part of Juneteenth, which would be that Thursday, and some of the things that we're going to do. So if you are not busy next Thursday after the farm day, come downtown and listen to the Civic Band, or Jim's band, what is it?
Gotham City Brass Quartet.
Gotham City Brass Quartet will be playing, and some Mills Brothers selections for us, and we're going to celebrate Juneteenth as well. So look forward to that, and hope to see people there. And that's all I have.
Jim?
Yes, thank you. I want to say a special thank you to the electric department. We have a flagpole at the Johnson Farm, and it periodically malfunctions. And they made 2 trips out with a bucket truck to restring the flagpole and all those good things. And I think, again, that's service above and beyond the call of duty, and I really appreciated that. The other thing that Mayor Pearson and I were at the last utility board meeting, and the electric utility system received a very nice certificate for what's called reliability. And you know, when you hit the switch, you want the lights to come on. The bottom line is, and most of the time it does, and yet utilities track when they have outages, what causes outages, how long they are, and Piqua received a very nice commendation for that. So if you didn't see that in the paper, I don't know whether we have that on our website or how we.
Yes, there was a media blitz on that in terms of them getting, it's called an RP3 award, and it's diamond level, which is the highest level that you can be awarded.
Very nice combination. The other thing I think is important for us to say periodically, we were talking about the underground utility system, and again, as we attend the electric system meetings, I don't know whether I'm the only person who watches TV and watches the guy who's selling styrofoam insulation or not. He's talking about, I think, a 90% increase in electric utility rates in Cleveland area. And they're talking about a 30% in Columbus. Guess how much you were anticipating in Piqua? 0. Good management comes back to benefit the citizens of Piqua and the electric system. So thank you to Ed Krieger and then the department. That's a great report, and I'm happy that we're having it, and we can talk about that. For citizens that are not aware, the most recent update of the cost for the Hans Pavilion assessment is now in. It's online on the city's website. And I think my opinion is the next portion, it should be a public meeting to let the public really have input into what this report looks like, what implications are there. So I'll be advocating for that. Lastly, I'm still getting a hard newspaper, although it's harder to get. And in the May 21 edition of Dayton Daily News, there was an article that I found kind of interesting, and the article was entitled, "Most of stolen guns come from parked cars." Gee, is that a surprise? I mean, we've been talking here about locking your car and locking your house for 4 times, and finally it makes national attention. So once again, lock your house. Lock your car every time you get out of your car. Don't keep your guns in the car, and it makes perfectly good sense. The other thing I heard Dayton talking about was they're going to have a new program called It's 9 o'clock. And the implication is it's 9 o'clock, lock your doors, lock your cars. And I'm thinking, let's go a little farther than that. We can do better than that. It's too bad that they have to do it, but you only have to watch the news to realize that we're having gun issues in lots of places, and I'm hoping that we don't see them to the extent, at least, that Dayton sees them. So, interesting article in the Dayton paper about stolen guns and parked cars. So, I'm done.
Thank you. All right. Commissioner Hines.
Yes, thank you. I am really excited about this. Thank you, Don and group that put this together. This is really, really fascinating, a fascinating tour for curious people. I love that. But I do encourage our citizens to $50. What a deal.
Yeah.
What a deal. That's amazing. So July 27th, day after my birthday, I may just give myself a birthday present. So there you go. But that is wonderful. Reminder to our citizens, you can get a ticket from Don Smith or Main Street Piqua. You can get your tickets there. And I hope that fills up fast. Thursday was a reminder of our farmers market to come down and just get all the good stuff that our farmers in our area bring to that. Also, believe it or not, sometimes there's really interesting holidays that pop up. Tomorrow is actually National Running Day. I don't know who claimed this, whatever, but we do live in a great community where we can get out and be active, whether you run, walk, bike, or whatever. So I encourage our citizens to get out and to at least take a walk or do something and move and enjoy our beautiful city that we live in. Up in my ward, Deerfield Yard Sales, which is a yearly event, are happening this Saturday. So if you're looking for some deals or just want to walk through the neighborhood, come and enjoy the yard sales in Deerfield. Also, I am so excited. We have our groundbreaking for Lock 9. This has been, I cannot tell you how long coming, since I have been on the commission even before as we started to talk about this. So here we are now in 2023, and we will do that, and that I am so excited for that. Also excited to hear about all the things that we have going on for Juneteenth, not only, Larry, at your facility, at the Randolph-McCulloch complex, and also just with what the Diversity Committee is putting together as well. So a great way to honor and remember this holiday too. And then again, thanks to our friends of the park and all the good work that you guys have done to better our community, and also to the Garden Club for the work that you have done to better our community and continue to do. As I said, please know that you have our support.
You do.
I think you took a lot of what I want to say, just excited about moving forward. I really appreciate our city and the team and what they're doing, as well as all the people in the community. Mr. Smith, I think it's great, as well as Mr. Hamilton. That's quite a lineup for Juneteenth. And I do want to just reiterate, I don't know who said you couldn't talk to us, but our numbers are, our personal numbers are on the website. They're public. Call anytime. There's no reason for not to, and we're the advocates for you as well. So if there's any concerns, questions, a lot of good things happening, but if something's not so good, don't hesitate to reach out. That's it.
Thank you. I wanted to piggyback June 15th, Juneteenth. Main Street's going to be full of nonprofits as well. So in front of all the storefronts, the store owners will be open, and the nonprofits groups will be out in front with their tables. So be sure to come down and check it all out. There's a lot going on. There's also a Rock Piqua food truck concert music festival. It's Saturday, June 17th from 3 to 10:30 p.m. And also I wanted to thank the electric department of the cemetery. Had a nice, beautiful post lamp, electric, and someone broke the shade, the bulb, and hasn't been working for a while. The bulb was broken on the inside. They came right out and with a bucket truck put the new bulb in and put a new shade over it, or globe over it. And I can't thank them enough. It's part of a security light out there, and I appreciate all that they do for our community. It's wonderful. So that's all I had. I'll accept a motion.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All of us in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.